guys, this is Aphrodite's child. Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about Medea. Actually, Rosie Hewlett, I don't know whether I'm saying her last name right. She wrote a book about Medea, and to me, this book doesn't really represent a Greek myth retelling. It represents more of like an alternate myth for Medea. And this is going to be a little bit of a spoiler. I have ordered the book today, but I do know a little bit about the book itself because I have listened to the book reviews and other people's reviews on it. So it's going to be a little bit of a spoiler. And going on what I've heard about the book and what got me interested in the book, and it's kind of also triggering off an interest to work with Medea, because I know that Greek myth retellings and also alternate myth to do with deities can get you interested in the deity itself, to work with deities. But in this case, you know, Medea is, if you know the story of Medea, she was a priestess of Hecate, and you know, she's mortal like myself, and it kind of got me, you know, it's getting me interested in wanting to work with Medea. So this book also of Medea by Rosie, it kind of also touches on personal experiences, even, and which actually goes back to myself when I was a kid. Some good, some not so good. So in this alternate, I'll call it an alternate myth because it doesn't represent, to me personally, a Greek myth retelling, more like an alternate myth, like another myth of Medea's. And so but in other Greek myth retellings, I can't really get into them as such because I'm more of a classical sort of myth. Even though I have read Silence of the Girls and Songs of Achilles, you know, and things like that, but they're not really my favourites, even though I can recommend them because they are too modern for me, even though I have read them, because I am more of a classical than retellings. But this book in particular by Medea, as I've said, represents more of an alternate myth for her rather than the Greek myth retellers. That was one thing that got me interested in it. The second thing, when I watched the reviews about the book itself, and they give like little spoilers, which I'm going to do in this video today, just little bits of spoilers, and then I'll do a furthermore book review once I've read the book itself. It did touch on personal topics of mine, which went back to when I were a kid. You know, in the book, it mentions that Medea took the blame off one of her siblings, so they didn't get a beating or a wallop from her father, which is pretty much what I did as a kid, you know, taking the blame on myself. So my younger brother didn't get a wallop from his stepdad, so I blame myself. I took responsibility over something that he did, but I took the blame for it. So I was being the one punished for it, not my brother. You know, end of the day, you know, it's what big sisters do. You know, it's what big sisters do. You know, they take the blame for the younger siblings, and this is what I did, which is also what Medea did. So it was me that got into trouble, even though I didn't do it, but I didn't like the look on my younger brother's face, so I took the blame for it, which is also what Medea did. I know it's very personal, is this video. Another part of Medea's story in the alternate myth in this book is where she gets shunned by her relatives for witchcraft, which is another personal story of mine, because when my nana found out that when she was alive, when I was interested in spell stuff when I was at school, she shunned me for getting involved in all witchcraft and things like that. I've never been against anything like that, and I was beginning to become interested in it and did a couple of spells and stuff. and she shunned me for it. And then she went and told her Muslim friends who was involved in Islam, and they really kind of shunned me out further, and dissed me and said that I was doing like rotten magic, and that I was working alongside the devil doing this and doing that. I guess that's not a bad thing with obviously Satanists and things, but I'm quite a light person, so I don't do dark magic, and I'm not against anyone that does, by the way, just so you know that. I'm very open to a lot of things out there. So anyone can trust me in saying, and things, because I don't judge people. I'm not a judgmental person. And so, yeah, so this is where, I began to feel attached to the alternate myth. I don't like to be referred to as a mythical literist or things like that. I don't really like to fall into that trap, because I don't like to be viewed as that. But sometimes I generally can't help it, especially if a certain myth has touched an area of mine which I have personally experienced. I can't help but just turn to it, because it's like a comfort thing, really, for like something to turn to and like support and things like that. And it's through this book of Medea's where I began to have an interest in her due to this alternate myth, because it's not for me, like I've said, it's not a Greek myth retelling for me at all. It's definitely represents to me personally as a more alternate myth to Medea rather than a Greek myth retelling. And as you know of Medea's story from the classical myth, she helps Jason with the golden fleece in the land of Colchis, and and Euripides wrote the play on Medea. It's a very tragic story, but I do believe that there is a lot of misinformation about Medea out there, and I do think she gets slandered as being a murderous, bitching, vengeful woman, and I personally believe that she is nothing like that. I just think that she does have kind of a vengeful side, but I think it's more of a case that they've kind of brought it on for her to be vengeful, like they did something wrong to her in the first place, to her kind of want to like seek revenge and things like that. But I generally don't believe that she is a very bad, evil woman. I just think that she's another mortal woman that's generally severely misunderstood. And I do believe that in a lot of ways that she can be seen as a hero for what she went through, and but for like different reasons, kind of like through her magic and like saving lives and healing and things like that. So this is where you would can represent her as being like a hero type, where she's saving people's lives through her magic, healing people through her magic, comforting people, and and being there for, even though she's mortal herself, so she will represent kind of mortal emotion and understand it. Cause she isn't a god, she's a mortal woman who is a priestess of Hecate, so she'll understand everything that a mortal would need, and mortal emotion, because she would represent that due to her having it herself and being able to comfort people, especially when she's been through it herself. So this is where it's fallen into the trap of a mythical literist, but it's all because of my own personal experience to why I'm really interested in Medea. And especially now that I've read this, know about what the book is about, and this is what's triggering off the interest in wanting to work with her. I don't know anyone that works with Medea, and so I think it could be falling on the line of kind of is it Hellenist? When you start to work with heroes and mortal, I think it's a Hellenist, where you work with like Achilles and things like that. And so I mean, I don't know, as I said, I don't know anyone who works with Medea, but I do believe that it is possible to work with her, even if no one does, I don't mind being the only one that works with her. But if there is anyone else, if you could reach out to this channel and let me know what it's like. I do use the term work for worship, but I would love to be able to work with her, because, you know, this alternate myth of hers, it does touch on certain areas in my life. So she is giving me something to turn to, you know, for comfort, and knowing that through this alternate myth we have similar, well, we virtually have the same backgrounds. So we're kind of like, you know, she would say this is what happened, and I'm like, yeah, I totally understand it. You know, older sisters or brothers do, you know, take the blame for themselves onto themselves to protect the younger brothers and sisters, which is what she did, and this is what I did to stop them from the ones getting the wallop, so I got it instead, you know. And so it was me that got it, not them, because I took the blame onto myself. But as a big sister, it's what you do, you know. I didn't, you know, it was upsetting me because he was upset, so I took the blame on myself, and that's why I did it, to protect him. But and that's exactly what Medea has done in this alternate myth for her younger sibling. She took the blame upon herself, so she was the one that got the beating, not them. So, yeah. So this is where it's touching on personal areas in my life, including the whole witchcraft side and things that happened where I got shunned the same way that she got shunned. So it is a book that I can generally turn to. It is quite a personal touch. So this is where I can generally turn to Medea, you know. And yeah, it is quite personal. But yeah, it is definitely a lot more than a Greek myth retelling. It's definitely an alternate myth of hers. It does represent that more than a Greek myth retelling. And it has got me interested in Medea herself, and wanting to work with her. And yeah, so she'd be kind of my most personal, I would say, worship, because I use the term work for worship due to Christianity. So she would be my most personal worship that I've done, well, that I work with. So she'd be kind of the closest, I would say, due to our backgrounds are virtually the same. Which you wouldn't want anyone to get shunned with witchcraft and things like that. But unfortunately, crap happens in life, and you just have to get through it the best you can, really. And yeah. But I will do a further book review once I've read it, because I've had to order it from Waterstone, so I will get the book hopefully soon. So once I've read it, I will give a thorough book review about it, and I will let you know how it goes on my journey of working with Medea, because I need to sort out, you know, what to do, and look into a classical also myth as well, because I know she's mortal like me. I love working with mortals like myself. I do work with a couple of mortal heroes. I don't just base on deities. I like to also work with mortals who also represent, you know, mortal like me, that understand, go through mortal emotion and things, you know, that wouldn't, you know, they're not like deities, you know. Mortals, they generally, like deities, will love everybody even when you do stuff wrong, you know, because they're not mortal. But with heroes, they don't like people that do stuff wrong, so they will generally turn around and hate them, and because they're mortal, so because they're like us. So which deities are different, you know. You work with hero work and deity, you're working with two completely sets of entities, if that's the right word. If it's not, I do apologise. So you're working with like a deity who loves everybody, and then you're working with a mortal hero that's generally doesn't like people when they've done stuff wrong. So when you know that you go and complain about them to whoever, they'll be like, oh, I really don't like that person anymore now because they've not a chance, they've gone, no, not a chance, not no more. I did like them, but no more. And then you get the deities like, well, even when they do stuff wrong, I still love them. You know, because it's different. It's all different. It's all different. You know, deities don't stop loving you even when you've done something wrong, which mortals do. Because it's different. They have mortal emotion like us, which deities do. Now, it's all different. It's all different. You know, it has to be all different. And it's good that it's all different. You know, it's nice to see various different things. It's nice to see heroes and deities. You know, it's nice to have different stuff, because I wouldn't generally get involved in all of this if none of it was different, if it was all the same thing. It's like, was anything different around here? You know, it's just nice to see like different perspective and different emotions of things, you know, because that's how you learn about the way that, you know, deities operate with their emotions and heroes operating with their emotions. You know, you get to see it, and it's all different. And it's nice to be involved in different things, because you learn more and you get to understand what it's like from a hero perspective, from a deity perspective, and that's how you learn about them. This is why I tend to vary a lot of my paths, because I like to learn more things that are out there and understand the different emotions of it all, which is always a good thing, because, you know, it gives you more ways to help people then when your paths are really varied, because you learn a lot. And because I'm all for learning. So, but yeah. But there you go, guys. So sorry about this video if it's a bit personal for you, and but I was just, you know, explaining that, you know, this is why I took to this book in the first place, and, you know, and that is going to show like a great support to me, and Medea herself showed a great support to me. So there you go, guys. So if you do like this video, please give it a like and thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.